Hello, Dr. Rémi.
Hello.
On behalf of Auroville Film Festival, I welcome you to the Meet the Director session.
Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure to have you with us. Dr. Rémi, you have a doctorate in urban planning. You are a storyteller who has spent years researching on sustainable solutions for our environment. What do you think is the major challenge for India when it comes to recycling plastic?
Oh, that's a very large question. So one message that I'm trying to put forward with the film is that recycling, which is a solution, of course, is also a dirty process, and one cannot only focus on end-of-pipe solution, which is actually recycling, but we should cut it at the source. So beyond India, I don't think it is an Indian problem. It goes beyond the case of India. Recycling plastic, I think, is an industrial problem. The way we produce goods and consume goods is directly linked to our model of development. And it's not normal that since the last 50 years, we go for single-use plastic mostly. And when you need to buy water, you go for Bisleri bottle, it is in plastic packaging. This is not normal, this should change. So this is not an Indian problem, but this is really related to our way of development in the world. We should cut at the source, which means we should design goods, we should rethink our development model in a different way in order to minimize at the source, which is not my house and your house, it is really an industrial problem, industrial design. It should be reduced at the source itself. And this Bisleri bottle, which are in plastic, should not, I mean, should not be there the way it is.
Yes, yes. I hope you have seen the film Story of Stuff.
Yes, of
which
course.
Completely animation movie, which completely talks about how this whole system is and urging for systemic. Yes, I understand what you are. Yes, the root is somewhere else. So, Dr. Rémi, do you believe film is an important medium as a communicator and visualizer of the destruction we have caused on Earth, as compared to other forms such as written words?
Yes, so totally, I believe. Me, I'm not a filmmaker, but I am a research fellow. I'm into academics, working with the French National Research Center. And that film, this film, People of Waste, is one product of my research. And usually, I mean, this is an illustration of my articles. So I have written similar story in academic journal, in academic papers, but very few people are reading it. And thanks to the visual medium, such as exhibition, I'm doing also photography exhibition, and film, such as this film, so which has been done in collaboration with Ron Davis, filmmaker based in Goa, and Shankar Goda, ex Center for Policy Research Fellow, with whom I'm working since very long. We have format this film in such a way that it's possible to deliver a scientific message and provoke some debate with the audience, and it is oriented towards a non-academic audience. But just after the second wave, when in October, when it was possible to present physically the film, I've been to Hyderabad, I've been to Delhi, I've been to Missouri, I've been to Ahmedabad to present the film to a non-academic audience. And the response of the people and the audience is very good in the sense that it creates a debate. I've been very surprised in a good sense of the response of the audience, because people feel more and more concerned. I mean, at least people who came to see the movie when I have organized roundtables, people who are coming have an interest and they are ready for a change. So they do segregate at home their waste, or they're planning to do, which is a good thing, but which is, as I was mentioning before, not the solution in itself. But at the same time, they do also try to understand who are the people who are taking care of their own shit, because let's call it shit, you know. What you put in your garbage is your shit and you don't want to see it, but someone is taking care of it and it is going somewhere. And my aim was to, thanks to this visual medium, which is a film and photography, was to make it visible. Not only where is going your shit, but also who is taking care of it. Because in India, as well as in France, people who are taking care of our garbage are not very visible. You know, we neglect them the way we neglect our garbage. We don't want to see it because what we are actually throwing is part of, you know, our consumption model. It is part of our own shit, and we don't want to take care of it. So, thanks to this film, I'm able to communicate with people, and they gave me some good insights. They gave me some answers. Sometimes I raised some questions, and this create much better, interesting debates than, you know, restricting myself to the only academic audience. So yes, it's a very good medium for me.
Yeah. So this film is as much about the people who recycle waste as it is about questioning the culture of mass consumption. Shooting the movie, what insights were the most eye-opening ones for you? When you were meeting people in Delhi, the people, those were like collecting this garbage and segregating.
Yeah, so the shooting of the movie in itself has been only 2 weeks, but I'm working in Delhi and in the periphery of Delhi since very long, and I've been interested into that specific topic of waste workers and, you know, recovery practices since very long. And I mean, just a small story, if I can come back from the beginning. When I was not yet, you know, fallen into the garbage research, I was just living in Safdarjung Cave in Delhi, and I was consuming, throwing stuff, and I was surprised that, you know, there was not only one guy but 2 guys who were coming to pick up my garbage, and they were very happy because we were throwing a lot of waste all the time. But there were these poor people that didn't want to enter my place, and slowly we were saying hello, and one day I have decided to follow them. Okay. And suddenly I discovered that just next to my posh place where I was living in Delhi, in Safdarjung Cave, there was a slum in Arkepuram, just, I mean, not far away from my place, that was not visible for middle-class people like you and me. And so I questioned myself, wow, these people are taking care of my garbage. They are living just here. I don't see them. I don't visualize them. I mean, they were not visible to me. What is happening? And so that was the beginning of my relationship with the garbage world and the recycling in Delhi. From there only, I began to work a little bit more in the slum, do some research. Who were these people? From where did they come from? Why do they do this job especially? Do they have some other choice or not? Where do they sell the waste that they have segregated? And then I've been surprised to see that there are a lot of waste markets in Delhi, sometimes very big, like the PVC market is one of the biggest plastic market in Asia. And it's quite efficient in a way. They collect waste and they recover waste, despite the industrial process in itself is not, especially for plastic, you cannot recycle in an infinite number of times. I mean, you can recycle 1, 2, 3 times, and after the molecular substance of the plastic will degrade so much that you are obliged to put some virgin plastic. But in itself, the chain of recycling was very interesting to me. I didn't know that it was actually existing, and it's not completely informal. It's not completely formal. This dichotomy, formal-informal, is not functioning. And for specific products such as glass, which is not what the movie was about, but it is the same principle, it's very efficient. I've been surprised to learn that a Tuborg bottle, you know, when you drink Then someone is collecting it. It will go to a market where it will be resold, segregated, rewashed, and then it will go back to the factory. So in a sense, this circular economy model is already in place in India since very long. And this is quite remarkable. But the problem with the plastic is that this circular economy model with the case of plastic cannot function. It cannot function. It will be done in a dirty way, first of all. But you need to recognize it to ensure that the people working in that sector are not completely exploited. Second, and third, even if you upgrade all the factories, even if you give rights to these people, this do not solve the environmental issue, which is there is way too much plastic which is produced in the last 50 years. And there is an environmental issue on top of the human issue and the exploitation issue of this semi-formal, semi-informal sector. And so my film is trying to raise this issue through these three lines. You know, there is like three parallel lines. First, we follow the waste material from the garbage to its recycling, which is actually a pretext to follow the people who is doing what at which step of the process. That's why you see the waste collector is not the same one as the waste segregator, which is not the same one as the waste dealer, etc., as the waste factory. And I'm trying to make it understandable to everybody by inserting three expert scientific commentary from the Center for Science and Environment, Chintan, and Toxic Links. So yeah, sorry, I've been maybe too far away. But yeah, so what surprised me is that this system is huge and we don't see it. So my aim was to make it visible.
So during making the film, were there any frustrating and shocking moments for you? Like you know, when we, as you said that when you see it in front of you, so were that very shocking for you? So, or you were aware theoretically for the amount of plastic, garbage?
So it was not very shocking to me because I've been researching on this since long, but for the cameraman, the Ron Davis, who is based in Goa, the first scene of the movie, which is shot on Barsva landfill, which is northeast of Delhi, we climbed that mountain of waste, which is very high, it might be 40 meters. We climb at around 4:30 in the morning to make some video about the first trucks who were coming, the municipal trucks, because you have on the top of the mountain, you have, which is actually the bottom of the hierarchy of the waste worker, which is the worst position to work on the waste mountain, especially in the morning. People are sleeping there. There is gas emanation. Sometimes some part of the mountain of waste can collapse. So we went there with the cameraman, and he was super shocked. Poor Grant, please excuse me, because we forgot to tell him that, okay, there will be some gas emanation. The mountain will shake a little bit. And he was super shocked and super afraid. First time with me also, I was very shocked. The first time I climbed the mountain of waste, it's shocking. But when you go beyond the first step, which is the collection, the recovery, and as long as you upgrade in the chain of recycling, it is less shocking because it's mostly a kind of industrial sector, like any other industrial sector. So then after you have like market and people working in factories, and it's an industrial process. So then after it's not as shocking as the collection itself. So this has been shocking for the cameraman. Me personally, I've been a little bit shocked of the exploitation of children, not in slum where they are working the afternoon with their parents, but in some industrial area where they do segregate far away from their family. especially in Okra. There are some pockets where you have also some Rohingyas, also some refugees, Rohingyas. They can do only that kind of job. And you have children, like, I cannot tell you exactly what was their age, but they were for sure above 12, but for sure below 15. So it was really children that instead of going to school, were washing bottles or segregating plastic. And this children exploitation is made possible because some part of this recycling sector are not recognized by the government.
Yes, it's a very informal.
Yes, very informal at the bottom. It's very informal. And because it's not formalized, because the government doesn't want to recognize that it exists, because it doesn't, it's not very shining India from an urban marketing point of view, then they are obliged to be marginalized and they are obliged to remain informal at this collection and recovery level. And then you open the door to a lot of abuses and exploitation. So one solution, at least, so this is not, again, not specific to India, but in India, one solution should be to make sure that all the units are recognized, which means they will have to pay tax. So there will be some problem at one point of time, but there is, this is generating money to make sure that children are not working. Because children should be at school, and especially in India, like me, that in the last 2 years, children have been completely sacrificed by the lockdown. And I've been back in Delhi in November, and I've seen that now that children are not going to school anymore, there was, even if it is reopening sometimes and reclosing, there was a lot of children, even more children working in the waste segregation than before COVID. So this is one big problem, I think. Children labor is a problem. This film is part of a larger project, mostly visual, that I'm engaging with some other colleagues and artists, and in order to open the academic research to a broader audience. So for me, it was important that visually this film should not be a research film, it should be like a proper film with an aesthetic. And so that's why I've been working with Grant Davis, who is a professional, holding the camera. He was doing exactly what I wanted, even if we got some compromise. In a way, the final visual effect was done because I wanted to make these people beautiful, but I didn't want to aestheticize the reality and to aestheticize the poverty or the trash.
I know.
You know what I mean? So there was a balance to find. And with Grant, we have been working on this. It was good to put a little bit of slow motion here, but not too much, because this is not a music video clip. It was good to make the end of these people beautiful, the faces beautiful, because there are people like you and me. They have a family, children, they have a life, but I didn't want to fall into miserabilism. I wanted to give them dignity. Exactly. Thank you. Exactly. That's the term that I was looking for.
How can we start to put words into action and work against further environmental damage? What do you wish to change in terms of environmental consciousness?
So, this, like I was saying at the beginning, the problem is complex. There are different parameters to take into account, but the three scientific experts who were commenting in the movie, Ravi Agarwal, who is working with an organization called Toxic Links. Toxic Links is doing a lot of survey to demonstrate the pollution level that some recycling factory for plastic or lead or whatever, or e-waste. And then Ravi is trying to implement at his own scale in his neighborhood, a zero waste neighborhood, which means that his Toxic Links is is training workers, to segregate waste, and it's training also the residents to minimize waste at their home. The CSE, so Swati Singh Samyal, is fighting against. I mean, now she's working with UN Habitat, but one argument that she was giving, which is also my argument, is that at the governance level, the privatization of the sector is one option, but it should be done in collaboration also with the waste workers. I'll come back to that later with Chitra Mukherjee from Chintan. And she's fighting against these waste to energy plants that are implemented in Delhi. Now there are 3 in Delhi. There are more than 30 projects all over India. On the paper, it seems to be a good idea because you can avoid landfill if you burn the waste. It's a wonderful idea. But the problem is that it's not functioning in India because the quality of the waste is not with very high calorific value, because Delhi is not Singapore, Delhi is not Paris. In Delhi, a lot of dry waste is recovered by these waste workers that we saw in the movie. And so whatever is coming to the waste energy plant is mostly biodegradable waste, which won't burn very well. So that's why they are fighting, this waste energy plant. So that's why the CSE and some other organizations are trying to make understand the government that this technological solution, which seems good on the paper, is not very well functioning. And Chintan, following this, Chintan is saying, okay, but rather than putting some high-tech technological solution, why should we not organize the waste workers which are already here, which are already working, and which are already doing a quite efficient job, but which could be even better if they were properly recognized and integrated with the municipal management. So towards this, what Chintan is trying to do is to organize the workers in kind of cooperative. So there is a group which is called the Safai Sena, which has been that Chintan has helped to organize. And the aim is to organize themselves such as the same cooperative which exists in Pune, so where basically, rather than giving the municipal collection contract to a big private company, you can give it to worker cooperatives, and they will do the same job, but it will employ more people. And at the end, in Pune, I've been there in Pune, so the municipal employee on the landfill were clearly seeing that there is a diminution of the volume of waste which is put in the landfill. So there is less landfilling because there is more recycling thanks to the involvement of this waste worker cooperative, which collects the waste in neighborhoods. So that can be one solution to be put in place in India, because it is working and it has proved that it can also generate revenue by integrating these waste workers and formalizing them. Yeah, and then after
your this research and experience, do you feel hopeful that we can change? What do you believe is required required for a big change to happen in order to solve the climate emergency?
So yes, I believe there is a hope, and it is still possible to make a change. Unfortunately, the COVID crisis came at the wrong moment, but it's maybe a proof that the change was needed, because all the good reforms that were supposed to be put in place have been postponed because of the COVID. I'm thinking, for example, about the single-use plastic, which was supposed to be banned, now, with COVID and for sanitary reason, nobody is talking about it anymore, but it will come back on the agenda. And then when this single-use plastic ban will be put in place, because I believe, the Indian government can be very strong in putting in place this single-use plastic. I believe that it will be put in place. Then we need to be careful, into
We have
looking
to
at
reinforce the rules for using plastic bags, carry bags.
So I believe that in India, the rules are actually very, very well. It's very well written, and I believe it's one of the best of the world. It's where everything is there. The only problem is that the implementation is not there.
Implementation.
Yeah, but on all the rules, I mean, everything, even in the last municipal waste management rules, there is also, it is notified that waste workers also are recognized. So India is quite in advance in terms of regulation. There is no problem with that. A lot of people, Indian scholars, Indian specialists, experts, have been involved and are working on it since long. So there is knowledge in India for this. There is rules and regulation properly written on that. What is lacking is the capacity of the local governments, which is not yet there. So it's difficult for them to implement the solution and the rules. The financial capacity of this local government are not yet there. Also, they are lacking funds. So, which is difficult to put into practice the rules and regulation when we don't have the human resources and the financial means to do it. But on the paper, it is there for the municipal management. What I believe also, one will have to careful look at how the big corporation and multinational industrial corporation, I'm talking, will react to this ban of single-use plastic, because it's easy, it can be easy for them, unfortunately, to say, hey, I'm not changing anything with my model because my plastic is a recyclable good. So you can use it once if you want, but me on the paper, I have written that it can be recyclable. You know, there is a way to bypass the regulation all the time. So we need to be careful with that. But on the paper, in India is quite good. Also, it's not possible in India to import waste, especially plastic waste, since long, even if it is happening, because people are changing the label of the material which is imported from outside. So you have, of course, plastic waste still coming in India, even if officially it's not plastic waste. It will be PP or PVC or PPT. It will be different denomination, but it's more or less the same second-hand plastic. But on the paper, I believe that India is quite in advance.
And I also believe that individual awareness is also very, very important. Like each one of us become aware how this, impacting the environment in as a whole. Then I think some change can be, bring in, because that individual awareness, the users, consumers, if they will get aware of what is the impact of this use of plastic. So
of course. So there is, for individual action, my point is that there is two things to think about. I'm still surprised, and I've been living in Delhi, now I'm based in Pondicherry. I see that a lot of people are, are really taking care of their waste, trying to not to throw waste everywhere. But I still see a lot of people, and I don't understand why after 5-6 years of Swachh Bharat, people are not yet aware of that. Throwing waste like this, especially on the beach. And I mean, me as a white guy, it's difficult for me to tell them, no, you should not throw your beer bottle in the ocean. It's not normal. Yeah. So I don't understand why. So there is much more awareness which should be done at the local level to make understand people who have not yet understood, because there are still people who have not yet understood that it is not normal to throw your shit everywhere. But mostly, I see that people now are taking care of their waste. Things are changing. At your own level, you can segregate your waste. It is a good thing, and you should do it. You should try to minimize the waste that will go out of your house, not only in terms of volume, because then after it will go to landfill or recycling, whatever, but you will contribute to this pollution, but also because someone is taking care of your garbage, so you should be careful to segregate it in order to avoid these people to put his own hand into your own shit. So this is normal, and you should do it. But then again, as I was mentioning as the first step, the big problem for me, it will come from an individual level, but it should be raised at the top level because this is an industrial problem, and this should be resolved at the design source of the way we consume and we produce goods. So this the change should be also happen at this level. Not only it's not only you and me who will help the system change. The industry have to understand also that this cannot go on anymore.
Yes, you're right. So thank you, Dr. Rémi. It was
very much.
It is a pleasure to interacting with you, and I hope your efforts, film, your research will bring more awareness to citizens of this planet, and you will able to shift something what is going on. And with this hope, I wish you all the very best for your upcoming projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Daljeet. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you.